This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and I get the opportunity to do a live here. So, of course, I'm going to open a chart, and we are with the Ascendant and Midheaven 2 degrees, Libra and Cancer, respectively. Moon in 17 degrees Pisces, so the moon is done besieging and is heading to the foggy land of Neptune, which rules spies, deceits, illusions, spirituality, blending of worlds, longing, something missing, but something being retrieved, kind of like from the depth of the oceans. This is a Saturn day, and this is a Sol hour. Sun is 17 degrees Aries, so she just separated from Rahu, and she's heading towards Ketu, and towards Chiron. Mercury is retrograde, pardon. Mercury is retrograde. Venus is in 1 degree Aries, and Mars is in the 11th degree of Pisces. And so, for the juicy title of this video, it's not a clickbait, how to collapse a bank. Instead of letting countries do this, because they do this through war, but what they do is they tell you, well, you have to withdraw your cash. Basically, the way banks work is that, people deposit money and then they use this money and they have some cash reserves, but if all people decided to withdraw cash from the bank at the same time, then the bank will collapse. It really is that simple. And this is what they're trying to do where I am. I don't know if it will be successful. People are already numb from all the tricks they played on us. So, but this is basically how you do this. If you want the bank to collapse, and you say, why would you want the bank to collapse? I don't know, but this is something that is important to understand, that such big organization, if everybody withdrew cash at the same time, banks would collapse. They would not be able to do this. We saw this happen in 2008. And so, of course, as Pluto will be ingressing in September to Capricorn again, we have kind of like the final collapse of old systems and the also culmination of certain things. So this is just how it is. And if we look at the astrology, well, it's not a bank collapsing yet. Mars is on the 11th degree of Pisces, that is ruling, those type of liquidity issues. And we are in front of a solar eclipse in Mars-ruled sign. Mars is very strong for the eclipse. And everybody's talking about this. I haven't seen so many people running to see the eclipse. I guess the totality of the eclipse, and so people would find it visually entertaining. And you can't just go around and tell people, please don't do this. They look at you like you're a cuckoo from a village, like an old witch. What do you want? Okay, nobody gets that. So fellow astrologers, yes, let's stop playing Messiah. These people, many people want to see the eclipse. Probably will not be able to stop them. And there are even astrologers that are saying like, oh, but this eclipse I see. And so Mercury is, there is really something very funny about this. And there is Chiron, which is kind of like the wounded healer. So it's a very rare occasion, I guess. Not so. I mean, maybe like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but but at about this time, we are already joking. Yes, we are. We were terrified, and now we're just joking because that's what can you do. And it's fascinating to be in the astrology kind of discourse and see so many people want to see this eclipse. So many people want to see this eclipse. A lot of, we're going to have a lot of eurekas about structures. If you watched my video that I posted this morning, simply because Saturn is co-present with Mars, they're conjuncting. Saturn is structure. In Pisces, we are talking about the structures that are all encompassing. The structure that is hidden so deeply that we don't even think about this. Okay? When I think about the structure of water. And so solar eclipses are like, oh, who are the leaders? But with the co-presence with Saturn is kind of like an old structure with their leaders is going through some change. And I know that I talked about the stupidity of trying to fool the mandate of the heaven. And, you know, this is so, I guess, because in Western culture, you know, we are taught certain things and we are taught about, you know, if you live in America, then the ones who make your American comfort armchair, they are these commies, these, okay? But if you live in another country, I don't know, let's say Russia, then these Americans, they don't know anything from their lives, they're petty, they are stupid, they don't even know English, and so on and so forth. But this is not exactly the case. And one good teaching from Chinese philosophy or even political philosophy is that when a ruler, yes, is unalived, they're basically losing the mandate of the heaven. And when we think about eclipses and solar eclipses that affect leaders, we understand that the losing the mandate of the heaven, it means that they were not good rulers anymore and the heaven took them away. So if you think about the earth as an ecosystem and you understand that we are not undesired here, we have function here, and a part of the Chinese philosophy, there are many philosophies, it's a huge place, is also to live with nature. Yes, not against nature, but to adapt to nature. And you can think about a place where nature is really extreme, like also the poles, okay? So you see the philosophy and how the people of the land would have their deities, their philosophies, and their practices of shamanism or healing. You know, the word shaman is kind of like a doctor, but for you know, these regions, there was the city doctor, the village doctor. And so, of course, there's a huge connection between the climate and the people, and we see changes in climate. Perhaps we will see changes in people as well. I don't know. And so when we are trying to, I don't know, use sacrifice instead of being good to the people, then, you know, you cannot fool the mandate of the heaven too much. But those who, first of all, did not grow with the exposure to this, don't know this. And what they were exposed to is a lot of corruption, so they live in a kind of other type of life. With various morals. It doesn't mean that they're not moral, but it definitely means that this eclipse is going to expose how stupid we are about eclipses. But there are also the solar fires that have been going on. This year they were very intense, and this is more solar energy and more changes and transformation. And enlightenment in the sense of, you know, you are exposed to more intelligence, you see more things, and there would be the comet at April 11 that is going to be between Aldebaran to Algol. Okay, Aldebaran has to do with big material wealth and victory. The Mercury of the State of Israel is on Aldebaran, right on Aldebaran. But I don't know for other, like I haven't looked all across the board mundanely. And the Sun of Israel is on Algol. So I guess, yes, perhaps if I had more money, I could pick a place that is different. But you know, there are some people who are chasing storms, and I had a friend like this. He took me on a 2.5 hours walk once in an entire storm, and I did not know how dangerous it was. But there are people who just happen to live in those places, and I'm one of them. I'm looking at Jordan to my right, in the Dead Sea. So I don't know. It's not by choice. I would never choose to chase these storms or report from these places, but it's very interesting. And I just think that this eclipse is going to be a lot of forces are trying to use this eclipse to instill a certain kind of world order. But again, if you are doing this, if you try to mess with eclipse energy, it's very much like this is the mandate of do good for the people. Do good for the people, and they won't rebel. It's an old antiquity teaching of leaders. You do good for the people, you give them culture as well. So what is to, yes, so to give food, to give, yes, but you don't want them bored, so you give them some culture, some fascinating stories and this and that, and they don't rebel. Okay, you do not good for the people, and they rebel. This is the mandate of the heaven. Okay, they won't rebel, they won't rebel, they won't rebel. Comes a solar eclipse that's meant for your region, and that's it. Okay, so this is the mandate of the heaven. Is you want to be rulers, you want to be this, you want to be that. And first of all, make sure that the people really have a good life. If you want to reduce the population because you think that you don't need that many people, then you are the first to be sacrificed. If nature decides she doesn't need all that much people, or people are not going the road, she will give some notes here and there. And if you have the good teaching, so you have what to do with that, and so on. But when we decide, we don't need that much people, who do you think is more useful to the planet? Yes, the people who are sleeping off with children on islands and exploiting the entire earth, or the people who are living with nature, who is more useful? Yes, and that are eating, yes, if they eat meat, so it's by a certain ritual that is done, and so you feed the animal and the animal feeds you, and so on. Who do you think will sustain? It's just very simple, but Aldebaran, it wants victory over land. It wants victory over material resources. It's actually great for the time where you do need that. Let's say if you need money, working with Aldebaran is good. I know some astrologers, if you buy like a course or something from them, then they will have something that's denoting Aldebaran as well. because this is about winning material wealth. There's nothing wrong with material wealth. But when we talk about uses for this that are not in favor of humanity, then Aldebaran can be like a Pyrrhus win. What is a Pyrrhus win? Is when it's like you won, but it's not necessarily in your favor. So we have to, yes, we have to understand that we are operating within a certain cosmic system, and we are a part of this cosmic system. Okay. And Algol, I talked a lot about Algol, and Algol will be dim when I think the comment will pass. So this is where is actually less benevolent. That is not such a nice depiction. The stories for Algol are just not nice, okay? But we can turn to Algol as deity and to Medusa Gorgon, which I do, and hope for the best. And this is very important because, again, you know, if you say set the state of Israel, if Israel works with Aldebaran in a way that is in favor of itself and humanity, it will have land and it will be victorious when discussing land. And for the sun, it must work with Algol. But if it works favorably with Algol, then it means to respect sexual autonomy, and yes, and not to use the type of psyop that is like a psychic attack. Yes, very important not to do this for the state of Israel. Unfortunately, I don't think that they are abiding by this, but and we have Procyon, the mid-heaven, so it's the great denucleificator, like amazing. But for getting the best results, it's needed to work with these elements or with these deities or with these planets in a way that is favorable. You cannot have a pack of pedophiles sacrificing people and getting good results. Okay? Just like fundamentalistic religion cannot do this. You cannot, under the name of no God, can you do these things and not see results that are malefic, okay? And also, under the name of no atheism, can you forget that we are living in this ecosystem and that children deserve to have childhood, and there is no excuse, not atheistic and not religious, to mistreat people and in general, okay? So this is something to remember. And yes, working with the deities and tending to the deities, first of all, you get the information that you need to know. And secondly, yes, it can be, for example, today I recorded a video about the moon being besieged. And then I shared it and I went for a walk, and I had fascinating experiences, but it was not malefic experiences. I had joyous experiences, interesting experiences. Yes, I protected myself, of course, but I did not endure the harshness of besiegement. A part of this can be because before the moon was besieged, I was like, oh, the moon is going to be besieged today. And I looked into this energy and I gave the good intentions for this energy. And so when the time came, I actually did not experience the besiegement of the moon in a malefic way. Yes, for me. And this is important. Yes. So when we do this with the planets, then we are basically understanding that we are living in a certain ecosystem, and this ecosystem is including the planets and is including the things that the planets are associated with. The more we have this information, it allows us to be more cooperative with nature, and to have the self-assertion that I am, and having our needs met in even miraculous ways. The moon, Neptune, can also be with longing you discover your needs. And I'm going to talk about this moon Neptune right now. We are approaching the moon Neptune, and this happens, yes, once a month. And with moon Neptune, a lot of your needs can be miraculously met. If there are needs that are not met, you will find out. And your needs can be miraculously met even in the ethereal or the astral realm. Okay? And so this is a planet that can bring abundance and liquidity, and that surfaces from various worlds, and it requires a certain sort of surrendering to enjoy the bounty. And with the sextile to Neptune, so this is authenticity about your needs. Okay, you need to feel safe in the world, nourished, everything moon. Okay, grow in abundance, everything moony. Okay, then you can have a tremendous wealth coming. There can also, of course, be grieving and so on. The longing, the missing, and being with your emotions. So this is about what it's going to be. Moon Neptune can be a longing for a sense of belonging, and the awareness of, let's say, how drugs or alternate state of consciousness play a role in this, but also certain type of addictions, that there is something so deep, isolation and longing, a need was not met, and you can become aware of this need, but then there can also be, with the surrender and the grief, there can also be, oh, that need is met now. From out of nowhere, that need is met now. And the moon will be sextile in Pluto when this happens. So this can absolutely be a very powerful experience of, hey, that need is being met in this way, or in that way that is available for you. And it can be astral, ethereal, it can be experiential, okay? Especially if you're longing for someone who's missing or who's not there, or a missing experience in your life, then you can receive this experience, usually in an experiential way. So that is the moon Neptune. And this is, this video. So going back to the topic which I began this episode, side by side to seeing the habits of using credit, being digitalized, and so on and so forth, there's this sudden, people prepare to withdraw your cash, knowing that it would collapse the banking system. And this is also the role of war. Okay, we're exposed to the structure, yes, and how war plays a part in breaking the banking system and replacing it with another monetary system. Okay, I'm third generation, 2 Holocaust survivor, and looking at this in the perspective that I see this today, and I see how the First and the Second World War coincided, sozusagen, yes, coincided with going from gold to fiat money, from kind of like removing the gold standard and changing the fiscal system. And you see, one great way to collapse a bank is there is war. Take cash from the bank, because we don't know if there can be digital exchange. After trying to create the habit of use credit, use this, use that, and you cannot pay with cash, suddenly you are asked to take the cash, and then the banking system collapse, but also people will be missing, yes, this credit card. This, oh, I can order this in the internet, I can go here, I can just, I can pay with my phone. Yes, Nederlands we say pinnen. We can ook pinnen. And so when it just began, I was a young Israeli girl in Europe, and some person, I think it was in Romania, asked, Mama, do you have, Mama, I says, you have pin, and pin in Hebrew is penis. And I was like laughing with my mom. I said, Givirti, I don't have a penis. I don't have pin. So that was my first exposure to this. It's interesting that Mars, that rules these fiscal moves, also rules the penis. But they want you to also miss the Virkennen ook pinnen. Oh, do you have credit? Yes. What's your this? Oh, yes. You can just put your fingerprints here, or put your phone here, put the card next to the machine, and take the product. Everything is okay. And you could do that with many things, with your rent, with your hotels, with booking a vacation. So they want people to miss that a little. So you would get that back, but not with this system. And what you would give in return is your identity. That we already been doing that since the Second World War. But now, yes, they're like, oh, you guys want cash? Look at what life is going to be with cash only. By the way, one cash-only city in the world is Berlin. It's actually the capital city of spies. So I don't know if that is correlated, but all these things are Neptune ruled that are coming up right now. And yes, actually, should I tell? Yes, I will tell this. I did some charity today. I met a homeless person, and he says to me, I said, oh, maybe they are starting a war. There was rumors maybe they are starting a war with Iran. I don't know. Maybe Iran will attack. I say, I don't know. Maybe, like, there is war. They said there is war. He said, oh, well, they want to make peace with all the countries like Syria, Iran, Iraq, and so on, for there to be peace. It's one country. I said, okay. Then he tells me he was in the army and he was kidnapping people and doing ritual. He says witchcraft. Yes, I know what he meant. He was doing, I don't know if I know what he meant, but kind of like psychic attack on them. Then he was war veteran, and then suddenly the police comes to the house and they say, we either take your wife or we take you. And he went with them, and then he's homeless. So he was kidnapped basically, but he was put in the street because he didn't want to live in public housing because he feared for his life. So he feels safer in the street. And I was like, wow, so many people. And I asked him, how would you release the kidnapped people? He said, they're already home. So it doesn't make sense to me that they're already home. But it was just a fascinating story, I think, as just people that are there, living in the street, and this is their story. So, yes, and I think, I have already also seen very nice. You see the capture video of sheep. And this area where I live is a desert area, so you don't have sheep around. But it was interesting that people painted sheep, and some refugees painted a view that looks like either Russia or Ukraine, like a field with snow and housing that I don't get to see. So this was a street art, so it was very interesting to walk around and just to see that in the vicinity. And then how, you live in the desert and people are longing for another view, even if it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. And on the other hand, there are refugees that are actually painting their motherland, okay? The places where they came back from, and maybe they have longing too. So Neptune is also the planet of traveling and longings and refugees and homeless people with Mars, with Saturn there. So all in all, really fascinating conversations just by taking a morning walk. And yes, if you meet people like, in the streets and so, they have fascinating stories. They really do. But it's important for us also to have like housing first and living conditions, good living conditions to people. So yes, thank you for watching.